I'm Gus Sproul, Scottish Regional Chair. I'm here with John McKenzie, Scottish Regional Secretary, and we've just finished a two-day regional committee meeting where we've been discussing the decisions of the Fire Board on Monday and the progression of the options for change to the service delivery review. John, obviously, reasonably mixed emotions. Good to see recognition of the fantastic campaigns run by our members at Marienville and Lochgelly, managing to avert the closure of Marienville Fire Station. So we've got to get paid tribute to David Strachan, the members at Marienville and the communities and the elected representative of those areas for the support in averting the closure of that vital resource in Edinburgh. And the decision to move Lochgelly's second machine has been deferred until a later date. We don't know what the long-term future need of those is, but that is the little bit of good news from Monday's meeting. So what's your reflections on that?
The only other bit, I mean, look, this is really difficult stuff for our members to see, really challenging stuff for the union. I mean, it is overwhelming cuts. So I don't want to be doing the good news bit because it isn't an accurate reflection. I think, though, it is just important to recognise that along with these two stations, appliances are outlined to be returned to Kirkcaldy, Maryhill and Kingsway East, branches that ran really good campaigns in 2023 and ultimately have had their arguments upheld in terms of that. So there are elements we've got to recognise where we've had good campaigns run well, that have had good results. We've had some really good campaigns that haven't had good results. And ultimately what it is a really significant package of cuts to the service, particularly from where we were in 2023 and prior to that.
And you're talking about the returning of certain appliances to certain stations, but that's all been at the expense of somewhere else, isn't it? You know, you're looking at Kirkcaldy's, appliances to rebuild Kirkcaldy's. There'll be a state-of-the-art facility, they're saying, but that's coming at the expense of York Hill being closed, Maryhill's pump going back, but that's at the loss of Springburn. And so in the round, the damage was done in the 2023, what we were told at the time were temporary removals, which, you know,
look, for members at stations like York Hill, Springburn will be really worried just now. You know, members at Hoyt, members at Balmossy, really concerned. There's stations that had cuts implemented 3 years ago that have still faced it. Methil, Glenrothes, Govan, you know, and others, Hamilton, Stowe, Greenock. There's issues all over the place. The main driver of this are the things we've consistently been speaking about for years: underfunding the fire rescue service, reduction in firefighter numbers, and impact that has on the public, poorer services and increased response time.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen how important it is to have a weight of response. I mean, we are, 500 yards from the Union, the site of the Union Street fire.
Yeah.
We've seen large-scale incidents, Ladybank fire going on for nearly a week, wildfires right across the country, and at a time when we need to be investing in resources, and we are, you know, eventually we are going to have fewer firefighters responding from fewer fire stations on fewer fire appliances as a result of this review.
Yeah, look, these aren't, they're shaped differently depending on what workplace you're at, but as a collective, these aren't new issues. Like the 1,239 jobs that we've lost since 2012, 2013 is really significant. Over 700 whole-time jobs, almost 400 retained jobs. A significant number of jobs in control when we went from 8 control rooms to 3. We still see appliances off the run, undercrewed in terms of resilience, running machines, particularly at multi-pump stations, crewing below 5 at times as well. These are all really significant issues. They're significant issues of creating resilience, firefighter safety, public safety. So, ultimately what we have is a package of significant cuts, but it's driven by lack of investment. You know, this year alone, the service is £74 million less real terms in terms of resource. That's where these jobs come from. It comes from underfunding. And there needs to be real pressure put on politicians. We've been doing that. That will be significantly increased. Politicians are underfunded fire and rescue services, but make no bones about that. And that's why we are where we are today.
Yeah, I mean, we've had really good cross-party support, but a lot of the politicians have voted for the budgets that have led us into this position that we're in.
Aye, 100%. Look, these are political cuts which are leading to frontline loss of resources now. Ultimately, as you touched on earlier, we've had a 2-day regional committee meeting, as members would expect, discussed all of these issues, and we've agreed some campaign strategies around that. Officials will be going out and engaging with affected branches. As you touched on, many branches are already exceptionally active. They've run really vibrant campaigns. Some of those have been successful, many of those haven't. We've had some really good campaigns that haven't been successful as well. So we'll be engaging with these branches and unions to discuss next steps. We'll be putting significant pressure on politicians. The funding of the fire and rescue service hasn't been satisfactory for a long period of time. That needs to change. It's long past changing, it has to change. We can't have the First Minister standing up at STC Congress making comments that the union completely embraced comments about funding role expansion, an extra £30 million for the Fire and Rescue Service by the end of Parliament.
Happen, right?
That needs to happen now. Yeah, that needs to happen now. But it can't come at jobs being cut. It can't come at jobs being cut. So there have been too many cuts to Fire and Rescue Service already. There cannot be any more. And we'll be engaging with members through the structures to decide our next steps.
Yeah, and despite these decisions being passed at board level, this is the campaigns don't stop. The fight to try and preserve Scottish Fire and Rescue Service doesn't stop here. These cuts will continue to be opposed by the communities and our members in these affected stations.
Yeah, so look, area officials and regional officials will go out and engage with affected branches. We need to have those branch meetings over the coming weeks. If you're watching this and your branch is affected in any way, you need to be getting in touch with your area officials. We need to be organising branch meetings. That's where we do our business in our branches, branch meetings through our structures. The union's been really clear, it's going to fight any further cuts. It's going to fight further cuts, it's going to fight the cuts that have been implemented just now. So we'll be continuing on with the political lobbying that we've been doing, and we'll be discussing it with members through our structure.
Okay, John, thanks very much.